Welcome.
All right.
Welcome to GZR Ground Zero Radio, the best of the original music scene here in Orange County, California, and beyond.
Absolutely. Beyond. Sorry. Okay. I always mess that up.
What's up? I do believe that we have an extraordinary guest on the phone with us tonight. Tris, would you do the introductions?
We have Andrew Synowiec, and he is calling in tonight. So
hello.
There he is.
Hi.
All right. How are you?
we doing?
We're doing
I'm
good.
Great.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's an honor, as she said, to have you. I don't even know where to start on this because I've actually been following you. This is Tris, by the way, for a while, and just looking at the body of work that you've done in actually kind of a short time. I mean, it's amazing the artists that you've played with, and I think it'd be really good for our listeners to just kind of get kind of the backstory. I know your backstory, but maybe share that. And we'll get into playing some of these tunes on your new release, which is just incredible. I've been rolling this constantly since you sent it to me. I got to hear it early, I think.
Yeah, great, thanks.
Yeah,
well,
sure.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up on the East Coast. I started playing guitar at the age of 8. And at some point I realized I was probably better suited to be the person standing next to the singer than, the person necessarily directly in the spotlight, and loved being in the recording studio. So almost 20 years ago, I packed everything into my Honda Civic, and I drove the 3,000 miles west to L.A.
Jeez.
And made a home for myself and built a career. And happy to say I've played with artists like The Who, Barbra Streisand, Little Nas X, Alanis Morissette, Michael Bublé. This is mostly in the recording studio, although some live work as well.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm also making my own records and playing live with my own band.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and that's what we've been listening to, and we're going to show some of that music tonight. I am a rocker, but I'm a huge Bublé fan. I think people get a kick out of that. That guy's voice is just, I mean, can he not sing anything?
Oh, yeah. Incredible.
Some of the artists that you've worked with, that must have been like you were pinching yourself to walk in and do those sessions. I couldn't
completely.
imagine.
I mean, I learned to play guitar by sitting in front of this video we had of The Who, and I mean, I used to come home from school every day and watch that. So to get to play on one of their records is just an absolute dream come true.
That's a story that I saw. Maybe before we play your first tune here, you can get into that story real quick. I think that's a unbelievable story, and certainly it kind of gives you a vision of what can happen as a session guitar player.
Sure. Well, so this is their most recent recording. I believe it came out in 2018, and they had working with a producer in LA, and they were putting some orchestra on a few of the songs. And so that was happening, and they knew the orchestra contractor, who was somebody that kind of knew, kind of like that scene from Shawshank Redemption. I hear you're a man who knows how to get things.
Yes.
They knew this person could find any musician they wanted. And there was one song that had kind of like almost a finger-picking guitar part that they needed to get done. It was something that Pete Townshend's brother had actually written. And, Pete, I mean, like I said, he's a huge influence. He's an idol, total hero of mine. But he doesn't really do that thing.
Right.
And they needed somebody who could. So they thought, well, let's call the orchestra contractor and see if he knows somebody who can. And somehow my name came up, and I ended up playing on this song that made it onto a Who record. It was totally incredible.
I just couldn't imagine. Wow. I mean, that's like 0 to 160, immediately.
Yeah.
God, something else. So I think we should get in some music really quick. So I and we've got a number of tunes here. The first one that we're looking at is Leadfoot.
Great.
Yeah, give us a little background on that tune, and let's get it playing.
Sure. So, I mean, I grew up in an era of great guitar playing, although actually I would argue that today's there's more great guitar players than ever before. So, but this is a little bit of a tribute to some of my kind of guitar heroes from the 90s, like Eric Johnson and Steve Morris and Joe Satriani. I wanted to write a song that kind of captured that spirit. So this is kind of my tribute to those guys.
Awesome. All right, let's do it. Leadfoot.
Hey.
There you go.
What's up?
All right.
Holy smokes. So they're going to let me do a lot of this talking there because they know I'm a guitar player. And
Okay.
I just have to tell you that the thing that I always get asked is like, what are you, some of your favorite guitar players? And you do what it is I like to hear the most, which is why I really was hoping you would come on the show, is that you go outside. and it seems like you take risks going outside, and then you come back, and it's like a trapeze act on guitar. And not everybody does that, you know. I mean, a lot of people stick to their, you know, their kind of their core area, but you take this thing way out on the left and bring it back in, and it's just so exciting.
And it's clean.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's like pristine.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much.
Yes. Yes. You can tell you got some
Wow,
fans
thanks.
down here, Andrew. You got some fans, you know.
Well, I'll have to play in Orange County.
Well,
Yes, please.
yeah, we got
Hello.
to maybe get you into the studio sometime, you know, and figure that
Yeah.
one out. That would be awesome. So tell us about your band. Who's the guys you're playing with? I love the B3 work; is just phenomenal.
Yeah. So on the record, that's on the B3 there. That's Kerry Frank. He's a great young player. He sort of showed up in town, and everybody went, "Whoa, who's this guy?"
Yeah.
He brings a B3 to every gig.
Good.
So
Good for him.
whether it's at a restaurant or whether it's at the Baked Potato or the Hollywood Bowl,
Right
you get
on.
Kerry, you get the B3, and he really made a name for himself doing that. And then he just quickly rose through the ranks. He's gone on to play with Social Distortion, Tedeschi Trucks, all kinds of people, and he plays his own music and makes his own records as well. So he was the perfect guy for this project. And then on the bass, we have Jorgen Carlson. He is played for many, many years with a great guitarist, Warren Haynes, from the band Government Mule. So he's a band member of Government Mule for many, many years. And I first saw Jorgen play... Actually, I think we did a session together, and I remembered he was just real musical, and I liked his vibe. And then I saw him play, actually, at the Baked Potato with my friend Toshi on guitar, and he just had this huge bass sound, and just like, not like a typical, like, kind of bass player that just stays in the background, but he was, like, playing with a pick through, like, a Marshall amp that was kind of overdriving and using distortion. And I just love that sound because... I'm a guitar player. I like playing with other guitar players, and I almost want to have another guitar player in the band. So that kind of gives me that element, But he can also play sensitively. I can give him sheet music with crazy chords on it, and he can just look at it and play it.
Wow.
And then on drums, we have a real legend, Gary Novak. He is known for playing with everyone from Chick Corea to Alanis Morissette.
Mm-hmm.
And I became aware of him in college, actually, checking out this. My roommate said, "Man, you got to hear this Chick Corea album, and you got to hear this drummer." And that was Gary. And so I've been a fan of his for many, many years. So I was honored to have him on this record. And then on percussion, we have Pete Corpola. And Pete is somebody I've played here in town with just many, many sessions, recording sessions for tons and tons of movies. And, again, you can just sort of tell by working in that setting, like, who has a really good, headspace about them, who's a really good team player, who is creative. They can zig if you need them to zig, and they can zag if you need them to zag. And, a lot of times with percussion, it's like if they're holding something, they have to play it. But for me, I think it's kind of like it's the icing on the cake, but it's not really the cake. And he does that thing really well. He's just really creative. And so, I was just really honored to get all of those players in the room at the same time. We all played live at the same time. And you can actually see a video for that song we just heard, Leadfoot. It's up on YouTube, and
Yep.
so there's video of pretty much the entire record. And I should also say, incredibly honored to have this entire band performing live with me on this tour we're going to do in November.
Oh my
So
gosh.
if you come out and see us on the West Coast, you'll get to see all the musicians who played on the record.
Fantastic. I'm going to make one of those dates. I see you're playing in Paso Robles, which is one of my favorite places to go. That gives me another reason to go back to Paso. That should be a show. All right. So we're going to cue up the next tune, which is Salvation Mountain. You want to key us up with any of that, or should we just roll right into it?
Sure. So this is a song. It sort of starts with this really. It's a riff where it sounds almost like a garage band riff because it's just these power chords.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like if a garage band riff got turned on its side and put through a blender and came out through the Mahavishnu Orchestra or something, because it sounds like it's in an odd time signature, although it's actually just in 4/4. So it's got this really heavy, just grounded riff for the A section, and then on the B section, it actually modulates time signatures, and it goes into a whole new time signature, and there's all kinds of different chord changes that happen, different harmonies, and it just had this kind of real, like, I don't know, intense, like, heavy, like, wow, something's about to happen kind of vibe. Actually, I was just taking a walk, and I don't know if you guys saw the sunset tonight, but it was just absolutely incredible.
Wow.
And it's almost like that kind of vibe is what I got from this tune when you put that melody with these chord changes. And, you know, there's a place in Southern California, the Salton Sea.
Sure.
And out near there, there's this little place called Salvation Mountain.
Yes.
And I always thought that was the coolest, you know, name for a place. And it's just like, wow, what is that about, you know?
Hey.
So I have kind of like a running list of songs. And I thought, well, when I kind of put this melody and those chords together, I looked at my song list and I went, yeah, that sounds like Salvation Mountain.
All right.
Well,
We're
let's
doing
hear
it
it.
right now.
Cool.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Fantastic. All right. We have you back.
Yeah,
All right. That was late to the party.
it was.
Yeah. Groovy tune. So we're dancing in here. You can't see us, but we're tapping. And,
We weren't
trust
late.
me.
We weren't late. We were on time. We were dancing in here.
That's right. Yeah.
We were
You're
at
the
the party.
life of the party.
Yes.
We get caught up. This is the thing about this show is we run her a little loose, but that's okay, right? It's
'Cause
live radio.
We like music.
That's right. So I have a few things to ask you. One of which is that I think you're the only guitar player in history that has been able to record a tune musically with a ring modulator.
Okay.
So I was curious because I was watching one of your videos, Gift Horse, which
Yeah,
is phenomenal. And let me just say that for the viewers out there, in case they just tuned on, this is Andrew Synowiec, and we're playing his new music. But one of the YouTubes that are out there, and there are many, is Gift Horse. And some of the videos that I really enjoy about you is that the camera's right on you. I mean, you get to see everything you're playing. And the tune Gift Horse with a ring modulator is such a unique effect. And I think coming from the guitar side of it, maybe you have a point of view on this, is that anytime I've ever tried to use one, I could not find my way musically. And yet you, of all people, nailed it. You turned it in, you turned it off, and I just thought that was a really unique texture that you added to that tune.
Oh, cool. Thanks so much. It wasn't like it was kind of really a last minute thing, like, oh, it would be cool. Yeah, I'll just do this for a little bit. And then people have really noticed it and mentioned it.
I know.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I had no idea it was such a thing, but, I should really come up with a better story. Like, oh, yeah, I planned it and I had this great concept. And, it's just something that happened.
So can I ask you, was that a blue box or what was it?
Yeah, believe it or not, that was just, and it's funny because my friend Tim Pierce, who's a incredible, legendary session guitarist, and kind of like a influencer now, I guess you would say. He said, what you should do? You should make up the name of some, esoteric pedal that no one's ever heard of, and
right.
say it's like, oh yeah, it's this unobtainium kind of thing. But it's actually just the ring modulator in the Line 6 pedal.
Oh, you're kidding. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I literally was just like, oh, let me there's a ring mod in here, I think. Let me see. Okay, cool, that sounds
there
good. All right,
is.
let's roll,
Clever. Well, it works.
Yeah.
And guitar players are looking for something unique to themselves, right? So when you click that on and started playing, I'm like, oh my God, how's this going to go? And of course, you nailed it. It's such a great
cool.
tune. Yeah, good work on that one. And we're going to try to get as many tunes in. And as I mentioned to you earlier, I can be kind of winded myself talking. But the other thing that I was interesting story is that you actually started on drums. Is that true?
No. I wanted to be a drummer.
Okay.
And because my older brother played guitar, and I was, I think I was maybe 8 years old at that point, but I had already kind of heard like the legend of like, oh, Van Halen, they're brothers, and that's why they sound so good, and one of them plays guitar and the other one plays drums. So I thought like, well, cool, he already plays guitar, I'll just pick up the drums. And I mentioned watching The Who all the time.
Yes.
One of the things I was watching was the Tommy anniversary performance, and at that time Simon Phillips was playing drums.
Oh,
with
yeah.
them. And they were showing Simon all the time, and I thought, well, if the drummer gets a lot of camera time, I should be a drummer. Like, I really just wanted to be involved in music every day.
Right. Yes.
So I signed up to play drums, and then the next day I went to school, and they said, okay, here's your snare drum, and it comes in a big case, and you have to learn rudiments for 4 years before you get to a drum set.
Yes.
And I went, maybe not. And maybe I'll switch to guitar. We already have one of those at home. So
that reminds
kind of what I did.
That's so funny because I had this similar situation in carrying that big drum box to and from school. Right, the flute people had it made, but
Exactly.
God, dragging that thing around. All right, we're gonna play another tune. So you want to set this one up at all? This is called "Gone Too Soon."
Oh, okay. This is a ballad I wrote, and it's not too much to say about this. It's I I guess it could be a song about loss, and however anyone wants to interpret that, and whatever that means to you, that's what it can mean. That's the great thing about instrumental music.
That's absolutely true. All right, here we are, Gone Too Soon. awesome.
Right on. Andrew. Andrew, how you doing?
I'm great. All right. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You are, one in a million. We're very pleased to have you on the show with us, sharing your original tunes and your artistry and your talent. Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm honored.
So tell our listening audience how they can find you, where they can get a hold of you, what's your website address, all of that business.
Sure. Well, I have a pretty unique last name, and which one of the good things is, I'm pretty easy to find. So pretty much everything is under my full name. So Andrew, that's easy, Andrew. My last name is Synowiec. It's 8 letters, Synowiec. So my website is andrewsynowiec.com. I'm pretty active on Instagram, and that's Andrew Synowiec. YouTube is also at Andrew Synowiec, and lots of stuff coming up. Like I said, I've been playing a lot with a fabulous artist named Kate Dunton. We have a little band together, and we have a lot of shows coming up. And then that tour I mentioned with the band from the record is November 1st through the 5th, and we'll be in Salzang, California,
Nice.
Pismo Beach, California,
Yes.
Ventura, and Los Angeles, and San Pedro.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Yay. Congratulations on all your endeavors. Andrew Synowiec, Grammy-winning guitarist and composer with 25 plus Grammy-nominated credits, 30 plus Emmy-nominated credits, and 20 plus Oscar-nominated credits.
Wow.
And you're a young dude too.
Yeah.
You're,
Just getting started.
you're young. I don't want to embarrass you or ask your age or anything, but you're young, and this incredible journey and talent that you've already brought forth into the world. And we're so glad to have you on the show tonight.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. And, I'm old for my age, so.
Yeah.
Old soul. The old soul thing, I totally get that. And I do believe that could be true. If we listening to the way that you play, there must be an old soul in there.
Yeah.
Don't you agree, Tris?
Absolutely.
Mike?
The
Yeah, definitely.
depth of his playing is just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to check out Mississippi Lake Hound. Anything you want to share about this song before we kick it off?
This title was another one I had kicking around, and it actually comes from, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Mm-hmm.
There, that classic movie, Cousin Eddie.
Yes.
I don't know. I just always thought that would be a funny name for a song, and then I had this kind of riff that I had written, and it sort of has a little bit of a southern vibe to it, and so I thought, well, this sounds like those two things go together. So, yes, take a listen and tell me if you agree.
All righty.
Here we go. Hey, hey, hey.
All right.
Ground Zero Radio.
Mississippi Leghound.
There it is.
Andrew Synowiec in the house.
Mississippi Lakehound or what?
Yeah, I got
Yes.
it. We got it. Yep. I think that's appropriately labeled for sure. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
classic.
And I love that movie.
I know, right? God, it's one of the best. All right, so hey, Andrew, I'm looking again at your website, and I got to ask you, 90 guitars?
Well, I think it actually says 90 plus if you read carefully.
Oh, dear.
Well, man, I am like way behind that curve. Holy smokes. Where do you put them all?
Well, I think it is actually stringed instruments. So it's
Okay.
not all guitars. There's some banjos, there's some mandolins, and a whole bunch of like crazy stuff. Because the thing that happens is, a lot of these movies, they'll say, well, there's a little part where they go to Colombia to chase, something down there, and we really need the sound of this like unique Colombian instrument. Do you have one of those? And so, you quick run and track one down and figure out
Right.
how to play it, and
Sure.
before long, you've amassed this crazy collection. So.
And you might as well own them, that's for sure. So what would you say is your favorite guitar? I see you playing the Les Paul quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm a little bit. My first guitar was an Epiphone SG, and I was an Angus Young fan, and so I think I'm still kind of comfortable on the Gibson scale length and the two humbuckers.
Yep.
Although I play, like on the album, I also played a Strat style guitar. So I do tend to gravitate towards the Les Paul quite a bit, and I have another guitar that a good friend of mine who's a luthier here in town, his name is Fren Askin. He builds beautiful guitars, just wonderful, versatile guitars. And his is kind of like if a Les Paul and a Strat had a baby.
Nice.
I play that one quite a bit. And then there's another company, I think they're out of South Carolina now, called B.A. Ferguson Guitars. And that's also kind of like a Les Paul Jr. almost. And I play that one quite a bit.
Wow, nice. Well, it sounds like you got a pretty good collection going there, and I'm a big fan of course, I think you're playing Revere amplifiers. At least I've seen that. I'm a big fan of Paul's, always have been.
Yes, I'm a big fan of Paul's as well. And again, I have, just a kind of a good variety of things that if people say, oh, I need a Marshall sound, then it's good to have that.
Yes.
But, Paul's great. He builds beautiful sounding amplifiers.
He really does. I've been a fan. I had one of the original Fender Super Champs, and people search those things out, and it's just an incredible. And he did that for Fender. That I think that says it all. All of his amps are fantastic. All right. Well, we're going to roll on here with Over Easy and get this rolling. We want to get. Oh, I'm sorry. Everything Is. Should we do that?
Oh,
one?
wow.
What do you think?
That's a long one. That might take us through the end of the show. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, hey, well then, as a matter of fact, Andrew will then, before we kick that song off, let me just give you like another virtual hug and high five. And thank you so much for sharing your amazing musical journey and talent, mega talent with us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And congratulations on the release of this. And we're telling our listeners to all search you out for sure.
Yeah, come to a live show. Come see us on the tour, November 1st through the 5th.
Awesome. All right.
Definitely down here in California, right?
Yep.
That's right, West Coast. Yep.
We'll share and post that as well. Andrew, have a great night. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
You too, guys.
All
Thanks
right.
so much.
Take care.
Thank you, everybody,
Okay.
for listening to Ground Zero Radio.
Bye.